Tom, for such a nice introduction. So, this reading to me today is about gifts. Gifts the wise men are given by God. Gifts the wise men bring to Jesus, Mary, and Joseph. And gifts that we can give back to God. The first gift that God gives us and the wise men is the gift of a curious mind. A mind that sees the awe and wonder of everything God has created and wants to know more. Whether this is through Scripture or the world around us, God reveals love towards us. The more I learn about science, the more I see how amazing God's world is. It's intricate and beautiful. And then inspiring to me because he gave us the curious minds to go explore it. He gave the wise men such a mind. Whenever I have the privilege to speak before you all, I like to use this gift of a curious mind to do research. Here are some of the fun facts that I came up with in my exploring. 1. The three wise men, also known as magi, most likely refers to Persian priests. Our English word magician comes from the same root, magi. But these wise men were not the sleight of hand performers. They were mathematicians, astronomers, and astrologers. They were of noble birth, educated and wealthy, basically influential. Second, the identification of the Magi as kings is linked to Old Testament prophecies that describe the Messiah as being worshipped by kings. One example is Psalm 72:10. Yea, all kings shall fall down before him, all nations serve him. Some accounts have as many as 12 wise men in the group, but our tradition holds to 3 because of the 3 gifts given to Jesus. They also wouldn't have been traveling alone. They probably had a whole entourage of servants and cooks and guards. That's an impressive sight and might be part of the reason the scripture says that the people were also afraid. The Magi didn't arrive until Jesus was 8 months to 2 years old. Hence King Herod's wanting all boys under the age of 2 to be killed. There have been many theories about what the Star of Bethlehem might have physically been, including a comet, which, by the way, most scholars dismiss because comets were thought of as a bad omen. Or it could have been a new star being born, or possibly even a series of planetary and constellational alignments. In fact, the words "into the east" have a very specific meaning in this sense. For a really interesting article about this, you can find me after service. Many countries celebrate the coming of the 3 wise men as a holiday. 2 of my favorite examples are this. In Spanish customs, the children write letters to the 3 kings, who bring them gifts the night before Epiphany. The children leave out drinks for the kings and food for the camels, who travel only this night all around the world to give the gifts. Does that sound familiar? A tradition in Poland and Germany is to have the letters of the initials of the king's names written above the door in chalk. This is a New Year's blessing. In Germany, the children dressed as magi, singing carols and asked for donations in exchange for writing these initials up on the door. Pretty neat, huh? Like the Magi, God gave me the gift of a curious mind. I have a lot of questions. Anyone who has ever spent a fair amount of time with me can attest to that fact. I like to understand things from all sides. Are you familiar with the game SimCity? In this game, you build an empire, and at first you get a small piece of land surrounded by black. As you build up your town, you then expand and explore. And where you explore, it changes from being black to illuminating those areas. The more you explore, the less black space you'll find. That's what questions are like for me. They help shine a light on areas of darkness. Even though I love to discover the answers, sometimes the exploration and the questioning is the best part. Unfortunately for me, Scripture doesn't hold much more insight into these three wise men, the Magi, that could satisfy all my questions. Church tradition offers more, giving them names and countries of origin, telling us who gave which gift and what the gifts mean. But I wish I could know more about what their experience was like. And so to do this, I play a game that I learned from one of my favorite books, To Kill a Mockingbird. In this book, Atticus Finch says to his daughter, "If you learn a single trick, Scout, you'll get along a lot better with all kinds of folks. You never really understand a person until you consider things from his point of view, until you've climbed inside his skin and walked around in it. So let's try to put ourselves in the place of the people in this story." I start off with the three wise men. They have discovered the Star of Bethlehem. Whatever this star might have physically been, it was significant enough that they knew they needed to go and find this King of the Jews. What was going through their minds as they prepared for the journey? Did their families support them? Or did they think they were wasting their time looking into a prophecy from another religion? Perhaps their families were just as excited at the prospect of their loved ones finding someone so important. What kind of expense would this cost them to travel so far? If they truly had servants, cooks, and guards, that's quite an expense to feed all those people. Did their leaders help them pay for this, or was it solely from their own personal wealth? Scripture gives us a pretty good idea of what it was like when they met King Herod, but I want to know more about what happened when they met Jesus. I wonder if they stayed in the area a while to be with Jesus, or if they had to turn around and go home right away. If Jesus was closer to 2 years old, they could have actually talked to him. What might a 2-year-old Jesus be like? What might he say? But then that makes me wonder if they needed an interpreter or if they could speak multiple languages. I wonder if meeting Jesus changed something in their minds and in their hearts. I wonder if they were sad to leave him. I would be. I wonder if they lived in any fear that telling their story might endanger this young Jesus, that word might get back to King Herod and that Jesus could be tracked down. Did they wait to share their story until Jesus started their ministry? Did they do their best to keep track of Jesus throughout the years? I also wonder what this must have been like for Mary and Joseph. Now remember from my fun facts that the Magi didn't arrive until Jesus was between 8 months and 2 years old. By this time, Scripture says the Magi find him in a house. So here they are in their daily routines, and one day here comes these strangers. And off the bat, they can probably tell they're probably wealthy by the way they dressed. And then the wise men tell them who they are and why they're here and offer them gifts. Gifts fit for a king. Gifts that honor the significance of the precious boy and what he will be to the world. Gold, frankincense, and myrrh. Now some people might have thought these material gifts were the finest thing that they could bring Jesus. But to me, if I was Mary, the most significant gift they could have brought was simply themselves. For anyone that has been ridiculed by society, have been shamed or mistreated, to have been thought of as a liar or crazy, to then have someone say, "I believe you," and see you as honorable and worthy of respect, wow, you know what that could be. That's a special gift. Someone else believes them. And not just anyone else, men of noble birth, who are well-educated, wealthy, and influential. Not only that, but they're from a different country, a different religion, a different culture. But they believed them when their own people might not have believed them. And not only do they believe, but they have been searching the skies for signs of the prophecy for years and have traveled a very long distance to find them. Then, as if that itself wasn't enough, they brought rare and expensive gifts. But mostly, they gave honor and respect to this young couple. I know most sermons might focus on what gifts you could bring to Jesus. Your artistic ability, your ability to balance a budget, your ability to gather people together. But what do God and Jesus really want most from us? Jesus knew God the Father as Abba, a very intimate and personal way of referring to a father. Their equivalent of us saying daddy, and that's my son and his daddy. If we think of God in this way, and in my opinion, God can be both male and female, so mommy and daddy, or more simply, parents. What then would most parents say they wanted most from their kids? Seriously, tell me, what do your parents want from you? Well, if they're anything like my parents or my in-laws, the two things they want most are time together and for us to love each member of the family. Your brothers, your sisters, your extended family. The way you show your love of family means that you're kind to each other, even when you don't particularly like each other. They don't need me to buy them fancy things. They just want to have a relationship with me, for me to talk to them and share what's going on in our lives. They want to feel connected to us and know that they are important to us and that we carry their love in our hearts always. When I was young and they already knew what I was going to say, they still wanted to hear me say it for the joy of watching me learn. I think God, the parent, wants the same things. Now, what gifts does Jesus want us to give him? Well, we have the benefit of knowing exactly what he wants because he told us. Matthew 22:37. Love the Lord your God with all your heart and all your mind and all your soul. Matthew 19:19. Honor your father and mother and love your neighbor as yourself. So I challenge you today to remind yourself that the most precious gift you can give to God and Jesus is a relationship with you. Talk to God, Abba, out loud or in your head. And if this doesn't come easily to you, try starting each morning when you wake up by just saying, "Good morning, God," and then say what you have planned for the day. The more you talk to God, I think you'll find that God is an excellent listener who never interrupts. God always has time for you, always wants to hear your story, even if it's the 100th time. You never have to worry about talking too much or choosing the right words because God knows what's in your heart and what you're trying to say. The other gift you can offer is to love your neighbor as you love yourself. Or maybe for those of you like me who have a tendency to take care of everyone else before yourself, maybe love your neighbor better than you love yourself. Maybe as if they were your precious child, your beloved friend, your favorite brother or sister. Just remember the greatest gift you could ever bring God or anyone else is just yourself. You are enough. You are treasured and cherished. You are loved without limits of time and space. You are the gift, so live into the present.